So this is Photoshop. All right, so here's what we're looking at. We're looking up here at the very top where you will see Photoshop CC and then File, Edit, Image, Layer, Type, etc. That is called your menu bar. And then right below that, this is called your options bar. And this options bar is tool specific. So what that means is if we watch it and I switch tools, you'll notice that it changes depending on the tool I'm on. So it allows us to customize our tools, okay? Because the way they come, it's just a default. So it might not be what you actually want, okay? This over here, this is our tool palette. You can move this around wherever you want to put it. You can also make it look kind of long and single road, or you can double it up like this. Okay, so that's just a tiny little arrow up there. If for some reason you ever lose your tools and you can't find them, you can go up to this top window menu and you can find any palette that you want. So tools, that's your option bar that we were just talking about, and bring it back. Okay. The next thing that you might want to get in the habit of doing is pretty much setting up your workspace. So that's simply, again, going to Window. You're going to use Window a lot, but you'll go to Workspace, and then I typically just keep it on Essentials, but you can do it for photography, and it might change the way it looks over here. Okay, and you'll notice that it kind of locks everything in place. You can still move it. It's not stuck. Again, any of these will work just fine. I think I like Essentials a little bit better. Over here we have different working palettes. Now depending on what you usually do or what the last person was working on, that might just open up the same way if you don't go back up to here and adjust that. Usually the palettes you're going to want to keep open are your Layers palette for sure, and then your History palette. Those are the two that we're going to use quite a bit of. Your History palette is basically just going to give you kind of a running history of every mouse click you make, okay? Every action you do. And what's great about it is it's a nice way to be able to back up. So if you do something you don't like, you can back up. Now it does have a limit, unfortunately, so when you are trying to undo something that you've done, yeah, you typically can't go back indefinitely. Okay, this area right here, this is considered our workspace. So I'm just going to create a new file really quick. That will be demonstrated in a later tutorial, but just to kind of give you an idea, this is my workspace. So I can do stuff directly on it. I can bring a photo into it, but this is my workspace. Anything I do in this gray area, this is considered my clipboard. You can't do anything over there. I mean, I can click and it'll show up over here in my History palette, but you won't see any of that, okay? This brings me back to my History palette, so if I wanted to undo this, I start clicking on these. Now, this little checkbox over here is a bit misleading because you might want to do that sort of thing and nothing really happens, okay? So you have to actually click on the word in order for it to back up those steps, okay? A couple of really quick, just common tools we're going to be using. If you hover over any tool, you should see what it's called. It might even give you a little preview about what they do. It also will show you what the tool's shortcuts are. That's that right here in parentheses. So if I were to click on that tool and kind of hover over it, it'll show me basically what it does. So it's called the Move tool, and it moves things around. Now some of these tools, the majority of them, they have tiny little arrows kind of in the bottom right corner of the button. What that means is if I click and hold on that, you'll see more tools show up. So sometimes if I ask you to find the elliptical marquee tool, but then all you see is this, right? You know that all you need to do is simply click and hold on it and you will find the one you want. Okay? So that should give us a pretty good like starting point, just so we get comfortable with this. In future tutorials, I'll start showing you how all of this works.